Well, thank you for coming tonight. My name is Stephen Plog, and I run a seminar called I'm Okay, You're ADD Deficient, the powers and positives of attention deficit. Many of you have went around and shook hands with you and said, hi, my name is Steve. Why did you come here? And you said, oh, because my son has ADD. And then you saw me smile and go, congratulations. That's because I truly do love my ADD. This is not spin control. This is not, well, God gave me ADD, so I'm going to make ADD lemons. This is, I truly do love my ADD. I'm going to show you where it fits in life, where it has an application later on in life. I think ADD is the greatest gift that God ever gave me. It's like a gift sitting underneath the Christmas tree, however. A Christmas tree that has a gift sitting underneath it that you don't unwrap, what would you do with it? It's called a paperweight. You don't unwrap it, you don't use it, it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't do anything. That's what your ADD gift is like. You haven't unwrapped it. Now, if you unwrap a gift and you look at it and you don't know what to do with it, then it's still a paperweight, kind of like my Rubik's Cube sitting on my desk. I have never figured out nothing from that. That's a paperweight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to open up the gift of ADD, then I'm going to show you where the application is, and we'll show you how to use it, and then you're all going to leave here knowing exactly why it's great to have ADD. Picture, I want you to have ADD first for about 15 seconds, and then we'll take it away because that's all the longer you need it, but then you'll get it. Walk a mile in my shoes, you'll understand me. ADD style means it'll only take about 15 seconds to walk a mile in my shoes. Now, I'm going to give you one of those storybook questions where, you walk into the house with 5 apples, your brother takes 2 apples, you walk out, how many apples do you have? It's a story question. So I'm going to give you all a story question. At the end of it, I'm going to ask you to answer the story question. So use your imagination. This is where you're going to have to use your creative right brain side that I'm going to be referring to the whole time I'm here. Picture driving down the street. 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. It's a freeway. There's just a double yellow line separating the 2 lanes of traffic. You're in the center lane. It's midnight, kind of dark, kind of rainy. You're looking for your exit. You got the directions on the seat beside you, and you're by yourself, and you're driving down the freeway. So everybody got that? 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. You're on the freeway. Double yellow line separating the 2 lanes of traffic. You're in the center lane. It's rainy. It's midnight. You got the directions on the seat beside you. You're by yourself, and you're looking for your exit. Picture looking through the windshield. As you're driving along, you go by an exit, you think, wait, I think that was my exit. So you reach on the seat to get your directions, and whoops, you knocked them on the floor. So you're looking up and looking down, looking up and looking down. You reach to get your hands on them. Oh, man. Pushed my directions underneath the seat, so you don't want to kill yourself. You're looking up, looking down, looking up, looking down. Reach down, get your hands on them. When you look up, there's a truck that's come to complete a stop right in front of you. Try to figure out if I hit the brakes, will it stop or not? It has been raining. I must go around. I look beside me. There's a truck beside me. Look at the oncoming traffic. There's nobody coming. Try to make up my mind. Try to go left, right, straight, save my life, and I make my mind up like this. Just out of curiosity, what's the answer? Well, don't tell me you weren't paying attention. Maybe I should get you a pill. Now, I was talking about 450 words a minute, which is what we think at, talk at, and listen at, by the way. Now, normal people speak at about 250 words a minute, and they think of one thing at a time. ADD-enhanced people, thinking about 450 words a minute, we can think of 2 or 3 things at once. We have multiple thought capabilities. We think fast, and we think of 2 or 3 things at once, because we can. You don't, because you can't. So I have multiple thought capabilities. You would be referred to as multiple thought impaired. Maybe you do need a pill. Now, I asked this question in a CHAD class. There was 150 ADHD kids in one room. First off, picture that. Between the ages of 10, 11, and 12 years old. And I said, what's the answer? And 1/3 of the room held up their hands. 1/3 of the room held up their hands. 10-year-old kid sitting in the front row. I go, what's the answer? He goes, left. I said, wait, do you know why you turned left? He goes, yeah. I said, there's 3 choices. Are you sure you weren't just picking one? No, I know exactly why you turned left. I go, why you turn left? He's all upset now. He goes, I can tell you why. I go, why? He's got an attitude I like him. He goes, you turn left because there's nobody coming. Duh. Duh. Mom and Dad didn't hear the question, much less the duh. Here's why. He could hear me talking at 450 words a minute. See, when 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 ADD kids stand in the corner, we all talk at the same time, we all listen at the same time. We call that time management, by the way. And it's normal for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow the same story down to multiple thought impaired speed so you get it. Then I'm going to show you why you're not teaching the kids in the classroom. It's going to be this quick, simple. I'm driving down the freeway. Got the directions on the seat beside me, looking for my exits. I go by the exit, reach on the seat, knock it on the floor, look up, look down, reach underneath. It goes underneath the seat. I'm looking along, looking up, looking down, reach down, get my hands on it. When I look up, there's a truck that's come to complete dead stop right in front of me. I try to figure out if it hit the brakes, will it stop or not? It has been raining. I must go around. I look beside me. There's a truck beside me. I look at the oncoming traffic. There's nobody coming. I make up my mind. Should I go left, right, or straight, save my life? And I make my mind up like that. You heard it that time, didn't you? Now, for those of you who didn't hear it the first time, it was gumbled to you, that's because I'm talking faster than you can hear. The second time I told it, if it was, you could hear it only the second time, as fast as you heard it, that's what it sounded like to the ADD kids the first time. Now you get this? I was talking faster than you could hear the first time. So the second time, if you could only hear it the second time, it was a little fast for you, but you could hear it. That's how it sounded to us the first time. Now here's why you can't teach kids in class, because you're reversing them. See, I also listen at 450 words per minute. My mind's going like this. So you're in the classroom talking at normal speed, 250 words a minute. So here's what classroom sounds. Look at all the kids' eyes when I do this. Kids, is this what it sounds like to you in school? Today, class, we're going to read a book called Of Mice and Men. And then we're going to write a book report on what it is you have just read. You know, that's only 12 seconds. How many of you were thinking, I wonder how long he's going to keep that up? Hold your hands up here. See if I got this right. You weren't listening, you weren't paying attention, you were daydreaming. By the way, what do they accuse you kids of doing in school all day long? Not listening, not paying attention, and daydreaming. Here's why. They heard my story the first time. It was fast for us even, but we did hear it. The second time that you heard it, only the second time, not the first time, it was, you could understand it, but it was a little fast for you, but you could hear it. Okay, you got that? Now, when we're sitting in the classroom, you're talking so slow, we daydream. So we are not hearing it. You get that part? Now here's what you need to do to talk ADD style in class to let both sides get it. Because what you think you've been doing is speaking to the lowest common denominator and talking slow enough that everybody gets it. Everybody is not getting it when you talk that slow. The slow kids are getting it. The fast kids are not. So you're teaching to the slow kids, and you're not educating the intelligent kids. So what we're going to do is graduate a bunch of unintelligent kids, and the smart ones aren't the ones who are going to run the world. I just think maybe we should teach both halves at the same time. So here's what I want you to do. Talk a little faster. And you're thinking, well, wait, the slow kids won't hear it. Yes, they will. It might sound a little fast to them, but they will get it. Now, don't talk as fast as I did the second time either. And don't talk as fast as I'm talking right now, because you'll implode 5 hours a day. My God. But to talk a little faster, because then the right brain kids will hear. So what happens is if you're talking at your slow speed or normal speed, it's slow to us, normal to you, what happens is we'll start daydreaming, you are not getting it to us. And you're thinking, well, wait, if I talk too fast, the left brain kids, they just won't get it. Well, the right brain kids won't get it if you do what you're doing. So what you're doing is you're picking which side you're going to teach to, and you're only picking the left brain kids to teach to. What about the right brain kids? I mean, when did that vote come down? I'm from Florida. I want to recount. So how to teach ADD? Just talk a little bit faster, and the kids will hear it. The ADD kids will be talking fast enough for them to pay attention, and it'll be just a little fast for the left brain kids, but they will also get it. So you get both halves of the room when you talk a little bit fast. You get one half of the room when you talk normal speed. Simple enough. Now let's talk about how to actually get good grades and where we fit in. ADD is a great thing to have between the ages of 0 and 6 and 22 and 72. Those are where it's great to be ADD. Where the problem is between 6, first grade, and 22, graduating as a senior in college. There's where the problem comes in, and it has to do with perception. Hands folded, feet together, eyes forward, quiet as a church mouse, staring at the teacher for 5 hours a day. That's what I learned in school. I was a Catholic. See the marks? Now, what happened was, that was a bad joke. True, but it was bad. Now, that is not our best learning modality. When we sit, we do, in fact, not learn real well. We learn better standing up. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just so. We do, in fact, get more information either standing up or literally laying down. That's comfortable of us. A chair is not, in fact, comfortable. Put this in the back of your classroom. All this is some PCV pipe over the legs of a regular old cheap old card table. Put it in the back of the room and let the kids who are sitting down who just can't take it anymore say, if you just can't take standing, go to the back of the room and stand at your stand-up desk. There's no chair for this. And do your homework standing up. Now here's what it'll look like. It'll look like Elvis from the waist down. But it'll be Einstein from the waist up. Did you know Elvis and Einstein were both ADD? Didn't seem to hurt them at all either. And by the fact, Einstein flunked 6th grade math. Work with me for a second. Einstein flunked 6th grade math. Now 6th grade math in the old days, that was like long division. And also that was only adding and subtracting. Who thinks Einstein can't add and subtract? Do you know why he flunked? This is a true story. Do you know why? Couldn't show his work. That's it. Couldn't show his work. Now, by the way, what are you required to do in school to graduate math these days? Show your work. So you're flunking all the Einsteins. You got that? You're flunking the Einsteins because they can't show the work. They do it in their head. That's all Einstein did. He did it in his head, and they couldn't. He said, what do we do? Well, this here means you need 1,200 square feet. How'd you get it? I just know it's 1,200 square feet. You know, in the real world, they don't care how you got to the answer. In the real world, it is a job. They're going to say, what's the answer? You're going to give it to them. If it's right, you keep your job. If not, you don't keep your job. But if it's right, you get to keep your job, which is the point. So here's what you do. Stand-up desk, they'll burn off the energy they need to. Now, you're thinking, how's the whole classroom going to fit at this desk? Well, put it in the back of the room for, in the beginning, you know, use one of those long 8-foot tables you have in your classrooms and put those in the back of the room. And say anybody who wants to can choose, it's a choice, to go to the back of the classroom if you want. And then what happens is the kids will go stand it there, all of them, because it's novelty. But after a while, the left brain kids, they ain't going to be able to stand that long. They don't have the energy to do it. So the novelty will wear off, and then you'd be left with the right brain creative kids who actually will just stand there for a little while till they burn off that energy. Then they'll go sit down. Then they'll mind. They'll absolutely burn off the energy they need to. And here's another thing. You don't have to empty the pencil sharpeners often. Do you know why we break our pencils? Because we get to what? Stand up to go. You got that? It wasn't the pencil. It was the standing up. Do you know why we're always going to offer to beat the erasers for the blackboard? Because you have to do what? Stand up to go beat the erasers. Do you know why our bladders are useless? You have to go down the hall, get to stand up. Literally, you have a stand-up desk. You got to beat your own erasers. The miracle cure is their bladders are instantly healed because they don't have to go down to the hall anymore. And immediately they stop breaking their pencils. For some reason, the lead lasts longer because they simply get to stand up. It's a stand-up desk. Now you can do what you have an application for, teaching them. Standing up or sitting down is not an application. By the way, we're going to be talking about the word application versus just education for general purposes. Application is the important part. Now, what's the application for sitting? 2/3 of the world stands up for a living. 2/3. Doctors stand up, policemen stand up, firemen stand up, comedians stand up, the girl at the checkout counter stands up. Here's the oxymoron. You're standing up telling us to sit down. Is it just me? All the teachers are saying, sit down, do as I say, not as I do. Does that work? Son, don't want you smoking cigarettes. You got to do what you're doing, okay? So stand-up desk works just fine because they're going to be standing up anyway because all the left brain kids are going to be sitting down at the cubicle. All the right brain kids are going to be standing up doing something. Let me address something. There's no such thing as adult ADD and childhood ADD. He did not grow out of it. What he did is he hated sitting for 12 years or 16 years. When he got out, he got a right brain job marching back and forth. My buddy is in construction. He was horrible in school. Then he got out of school, and he's walking back and forth between tall buildings, yelling and screaming over hammering and pounding. He's a happy guy. 12 hours of yelling and screaming. He gets home, he's like, hi, honey. How was your day? Son, let's do some homework. Quietest guy. They said, no, he grew out of his ADD. No. He finally got out of the china shop, and they put him in a field, and he works just fine in the field. There's his application for standing up. So stand-up desk, you're going to like this right there. Now I want to talk about focus. You are a product of your constant thoughts. We're going to be talking about the difference between happy, healthy, and successful and good grades. And by the way, which is the most important? The most important. Okay, you get a guy who has all his concrete building blocks for success versus a guy and never went to school at all versus a guy who got straight A's who has no concrete building blocks for success, no positive mental attitude, no good self-esteem, no good, all those things are gone. Which one do you think will succeed between the ages of 22 and 72? What we're going to be looking at is how to meld the two. And you're going to be using one to get the other. Teacher's Parent Night. You got a kid who comes to Teacher's Parent Night, he's got 2 A's and 3 D's. What do you always talk about? The D's, right, exactly. Beyond, all the kids know the answer, so you might as well put it up. That's what they did to me. I specifically had 2 A's and 3 D's, that's why I'm using this. 2 minutes of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So son, whatever you're doing for A's, just keep doing it. Don't want to rock the boat. 2 minutes. Now we got 28 minutes to fill. That's what we divided the other 28 minutes into, the 3 D's. Son, those D's have got to come up. You've got to get a good grade point average. See, somebody told you you have to have a good grade point average and you never bothered to question it. So let's take a look at grade point average versus the real life in the real world down the road. And then, by the way, let's show you how to raise the grade point average also. 2 A's, 3 D's. You're talking about the D's all the time. The things that he doesn't have an application for. I mean, when he gets a job in real life, what's he going to get a job in? The 2 A's he's good at or the 3 D's he's bad at? Where is he going to get a job? His A's. So how important are the D's? They're to support what he does for the A's. You see, A's are where he should be focusing. D's are what he should be managing. What you've been doing is reversing them. You've been managing the A's. Hey, whatever it is, keep doing it. You're doing good. Managing it. The D's, let's focus on it. Let's make this a major issue. Now, there's books out there that teach people how to become happy, healthy, and successful. Have you ever heard of professional speakers and people who work in personal development like Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Dr. Robert Schuller, Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki? These are all people who wrote success books. Maybe you've seen some of them. Think and Grow Rich, Tough Times Don't Last, but Tough People Do, The Magic of Thinking Big, See You at the Top, Personal Power, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the best book I ever saw for a title, Who Moved My Cheese? These are books on success. Now, those people who talk about success give you some concrete building blocks towards success on what to do. Do any of these sound familiar? Confidence, positive mental attitude, good self-esteem, working with like-minded people towards a common goal, written goals so you can read them, affirmations, I think I can, visualization, putting pictures of cars you want to drive, houses you want to live in, vacations you want to go, so that you can visualize it. Any of those listed in those books? Now, how many of you have ever gone to a success class for personal development in live, or read a book, or listened to a tape, or watched a video, of studied success in any way, shape, or form? Hold your hands up if you've done any of the forms. Okay, which one of those covered the master key to success is good grades? Did you see that? They all went down, all the hands. You saw all the hands went down when he mentioned it. All the books on success don't bring up good grades. Now, here's what the kids heard. I don't need school. That's not what he said. That's what they heard. They jumped ahead. Now, what they say is concrete building blocks for success. Confidence, positive mental attitude, working with like-minded people towards a common goal, good self-esteem are, in fact, concrete building blocks towards success. Now, every success course I've ever gone to, and the ones you went to, did you notice everybody was from 1,000 different fields? There's doctors there, lawyers there, waitresses there, bartenders there, there's unemployed people there, there's street sweepers there, there's salesmen there, there's every walk of life. And what they're teaching is those concrete building blocks towards success apply to all walks of life. Why would that magically kick in at the age of 22, only at a job? Why wouldn't concrete building blocks towards success work on reading, writing, and arithmetic? Unless you're an idiot, obviously it would. So yes, why don't we apply concrete building blocks towards success towards your application for good grades? We did. I run a school. I was a co-founder of a school with Tom and Kathy Bray called the Results Academy down in Houston. All the kids came in with ADD. They got grade point averages of 1.3 to 1.6, which, just so you know, that's an F in Texas. I think in Arkansas it's a C. Bad joke. Okay, this video is not selling in Arkansas. I can see that. Now, and also none of the kids have ever once in the last 2 years gone home with homework. Not once. Now all the kids immediately want to move to Houston, don't they? I'm going to show you how to do that right here. Now, concrete building blocks for success are focusing on what you can do, not what you can't do. So here you got 2 A's and 3 D's. What you've been doing is managing the A's. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, and focusing on the D's. So you're focusing on something I don't have an application in life. Focusing on something I'm not good at. Focusing on something I probably in all actuality hate. Focusing on something that really just upsets me. And focusing on what I call homework, not schoolwork. You know what schoolwork is? Schoolwork is the A's. You're good at it. You get it done at school. Homework is the things you're not good at. That's why everybody hates homework. Did you get that? A's you do at school, that's why you're happy, you get it done. D's are what you take home, and that's what you focus on. So I'm focusing on something I don't like. I'm focusing on something that I hate. I focus on something I'm not good at. And I focus on something that I have no application for, and I don't know why I'm learning it. So what happens to my positive mental attitude when I focus on negativity? Positive mental attitude when I focus on negativity. Confidence when I focus on negativity. Working with like-minded people towards a common goal of what? Math? Not me. You know, that's what a calculator's for. Working affirmations in one direction on what? Spelling? That's what spell check is for. This is not what my life is going to be like. So when I focus on negativity for 12 years, what happens to my concrete building blocks towards success when I focus on something I don't have an application for and is the most negative thing in my mouth for 12 years? What happens to my ability to succeed? It goes. Now, here's a statistic that you're going to take out of context. I'm going to clean it up. According to the World Health Organization, America's education compared to the rest of the world, we're 27th in math and 29th in science compared to the rest of the world. We're behind third world countries that don't even have electricity. Do you know why that is? Because the teachers are so stupid and the kids are so dumb? No. We're Americans. I think we're better than everybody. I'm a card-carrying, flag-waving constitutionalist. I want to know why we're not number one. By the way, we spend more on education than any 3 countries combined. So why are we so far behind? We're just doing one thing wrong. I hate to oversimplify it, but I think it's just one thing wrong. Picture who won the Super Bowl last year, and they keep the same owner, they keep the same coach, the assistant coaches, they keep the same team players, they even keep the same water boy. Everything's the same. Everything's the same. And when they start next year, the owner just says, I just want you to do one thing. I just want you all to line up backwards. But do everything else the same, but line up backwards. I don't care if that was a Super Bowl team. If they line up backwards, they won't make the playoffs. They probably won't even win one game because they're just doing one thing wrong. They're lining up backwards. When you're teaching, and the reason why you're 27th and 29th place in the world is because you're lined up backwards. You're focusing on the D's. That's why we're in that place. We're only missing one thing. Focus on the A's. Now, where do I get this from? A bunch of books. All those concrete building blocks for success, every one of those books is referring to this. So here's what I did. I had somebody in my classroom about a year ago who I brought this up. It said, focus on your A's and manage your D's. Focus on your concrete building blocks towards success. In the back corner, I said, just focus on your strengths and manage your weaknesses. And this guy in the right-hand corner goes, oh! Being ADD, he completely discombobulated me, and I forgot what I was going to say. I said, I'm sorry, did I say something wrong? He goes, no, I'm sorry, but I just got back from Hawaii. I said, oh, you poor guy. He goes, no. I just did that Tony Robbins fire walk. Now, how many of you have heard of Tony Robbins and his famous fire walk? Okay, what this guy does, you're going to like this, is you spend a week with Tony, and you got this coals, and he does things like toss a fork out, and it just melts. He says, okay, now everybody walk across it barefoot. And then after a week, he actually gets everybody to walk across it without burning their feet. It's quite amazing. And he's focusing on your concrete building block for success for exactly the whole week. He'll do little exercises like, okay, he'll lay out 100 planks on the beach. Everybody walk across the plank. Now, you pay $5,000 to do this silly stuff. So the plank, you walk across the thing, goes, okay, everybody did that? Okay, now I'll do it backwards. No, plank's this wide. So okay, backwards. Says, okay, raise your hand if there's anybody here who thinks he cannot walk not only forwards but backwards across that plank. Raise your hand if you don't think you can do it, because we'll keep doing it until you are confident you can do it. No, we got it. For $5,000, move on. Says, okay, we're going to do it one more time. Okay, fine. But now we're going to do it in the parking lot. So they go up to the parking lot, and now the same planks are 10 feet in the air over concrete. He goes, okay, everybody, one more time. Let's go. Everybody up. Nobody moves. He goes, what happened? I thought you just said not only can you walk forwards but backwards. All I'm asking you to do is walk forwards. Why can't you do it? Well, because, the reason you can't is because your belief just went away. You believed you could walk across that, therefore you could. Now you believe you can't, therefore you can't. So when they leave school, the most important thing they can possibly learn is that they can, not that they can't. And you're supposed to focus on what you can. And this guy explains that to me. I go, yeah, I know. He goes, and Steve, I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but when I got back, I just went to teacher's parent night. My kid got a couple of D's, and he's a genius, and I grounded him. He's sitting home right now grounded, and I'm embarrassed to say it. I said, I want you to do this, and email me back. I want you to go home and tell your son that you only see him in the light of what he does good. And what does he do good? He goes, oh, he's excellent in 3 areas. He goes, he's a thespian. This kid's a natural-born ham. An ADD guy who's a good-born ham. Who knew? He loves, drama and all that stuff. He's a drama king. And the other thing is he's good at art, and he's exceptional in music. Now, incidentally, all ADD people are very, very creative. Okay, we're the writers. We're the poets. We're the architects. We're the musicians. We're the things that bring creativity and light to you. When you go to a movie, you're seeing all ADD creativity right there. Also, we're the most sensitive people in the world. How many of you have seen your ADD child show real sensitivity towards somebody's pain or somebody's suffering, or they're almost intuitive to feel other people not feeling good? You know how your dog can tell you're feeling bad and he comes over and licks your hand because he just knows you feel it? ADD people can almost do that. They don't actually lick your hand, but they know that you're feeling bad, okay? So they're very, very sensitive. So how do you think an 8-year-old kid takes it when you walk up to him and he's life is a bowl of cherries? He goes, you're ADD, there's something wrong with you. We'll put you in some special educations and give you some drugs. Ah! Okay, a very sensitive kid doesn't take that real well. Okay, maybe you don't say it that way, but that's kind of what we get picked on. So I told this guy, I only want you to see your son in the light of the things he's good at and ignore the rest. Just see him in the light. To you, he is only a thespian, he is only an artist, and he is only a musician. That's what you see him as. You see, that's the way it would be like. Let's say we roll back the clock 20 years and you and I get married. Then we roll it ahead a couple years and we've got 2 kids, live in a big house. I got a black Mercedes, you got a white Mercedes, might as well. Big, huge pool. I'm an architect, and you come over to visit for coffee. You say, hey, what's it like being married to Steve? You say, oh, it's wonderful. He's a wonderful father. He's a wonderful husband. He's great in his community. He gives to the church. He gives the shirt off his back to everybody in the neighborhood. He's an architect. Look, here's the building he designed. It's the tallest one in the city. And it's got the mayor up there, cut the ribbon, and he's just wonderful. He's got all these plaques, and Steve can't add, and Steve can't spell. Would you actually say that? Not if you want to keep the Mercedes, just so you know. Now, wife got the Toyota. Now, another person will buy the video, Toyota. So I got Arkansas and the Toyota. Now, it doesn't matter if I can spell or add. I'm an architect. So you only see me as an architect. And ladies, just so you know, don't men kind of have an umbilical cord to their job and who they see themselves? How many of you ladies have had your husband, they bought out the company, had a merger, or a shutdown, or they got on a bit, or whatever, the job, you lost his job. And he became a little 10-year-old boy. I'm lost, I don't give you. And their identity is gone. Raise your hand if your husband and your boyfriend has just lost all his identities. None of you raise your hand. Liar! Now, we are like that. But we also are like that because there's no reason not to be. See, we don't say, I'm architecting, I am an architect. I am a salesman. It's who my identity is. So what's wrong with that? It's going to be that way in the future. Why don't you see that while they're in the school? So I told this guy, just see your son as he is. He goes, okay. Comes back and tells me what happens. Here's a real life story of what happened to this one little child. Picture this being your child, or picture being that child. He comes home and says, son, I'm sorry for what I did. You're ungrounded, and all I'm going to do is talk about two things, A's and F's. A's, because that's where you're going to spend the rest of your life, and there's where your focus is, and there's where your success is going to be. We're only going to talk about F's because if you're flunking, then you're not going to pass. Anything between B and D, I don't even care. We're talking about A's and F's, and that's all you need to worry about. He goes, okay, and that's all I did. Every time the son came home, he says, hey, son, how was art? Hey, son, how was drama? Hey, son, how was musical class? That's all he ever asked about. Never asked about anything else. So every time the son came home, he was only talking about the things he was good at. And when the report cards came home, the guy just looked at his thing and goes, oh, you got an A in this, you got an A in that, and you got an A in that, good. And that's all he cared about. When people came over to his house, he would brag on his son. He said, hey, I want you to come downstairs and look at my son's room. I go, okay. So he goes downstairs. This is a guy who lived in Chicago. And he walks into his son's room, and he closes the door, and all the windows are spray painted black. So when he closes the door and turns off the lights, it goes pitch black in there. Then he turns on the black light, and whack. It looks like you're on top of the Sears Tower in Chicago. It looks like it's at night, and you're on top of the Sears Tower. What this kid had done is he'd gone up, and at night taken 4 pictures from 4 different directions, blew them up, put them against the wall, and painted that against the wall in black light. So it looks like the streets are, getting farther and farther into distance. So when you stand there, it looks like when you look to the east, there's the lake. When you look north, there's North Shore. When you look to the I guess it would be west, there'd be Schaumburg, and from the south, there'd be Crestwood. And it looks like you're standing on top of the Sears Tower so much that you can get indigo just looking at, or vertigo, just go and look. I mean, and then you look down, you see the big clothes, and you're grounded again. But he goes, wow, this is incredible. He goes, yeah, isn't my son awesome? I am so proud of him. I love him so much. I can't wait to see where these concrete building blocks for success are going to take him. I can't see where his success traits are going to take him later in life. I can't wait to go on this walk of success with my son. Subliminally telling him he's going places. Isn't he awesome? Come upstairs, I want to show you one more thing. So he goes over and he goes, here's our refrigerator. Here's a picture of the school newspaper. This is the school play where all the kids were in it. He's the guy in the back row because he's ADD and he has a small part because he can't remember his lines. But he's in the school play, but here's what happened in the school play. The school play was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. Friday night was the big grand finale. So they come out Wednesday night, and when he walked out on stage, he forgot what he was supposed to say. But he filled it in. He kind of ad-libbed, and they're falling out of their chairs. He was just so funny. Thursday night, he comes out again, forgets his lines again. Makes it up, he's funny, they're falling out of their chairs. Friday night, everybody shows up just to find out what he's going to say next. Pack the house. Doesn't let him down. Makes it up again. Even the kids are dying on the stage because this guy is genuinely funny. So he won't make it as an actor, but as a comedian, Robin Williams didn't seem to be doing too bad. Now, here's what happens. At the end of the thing, they came up and they had the curtain bow. The 2 main characters took their bow. Everybody gave them an ovation. Then the 4 supporting characters came out and they clapped for them. And then when my son walked out, he got a standing ovation. This is what my son was able to do. I am so proud of him. I love him so much. I can't wait to see where these success traits are going to take him in life. I can't wait to go with him. He is just awesome. Son, come over here. I want you to humor the old man. And this is what this kid was capable of. Now, this kid's 11 years old. He goes, do that thing you do. He goes, okay, Dad. So they go over to the radio station. They turn on a radio. They go to oldies. And it's like Paul Revere and the Raiders, which this kid has never heard because he loves Smashing Pumpkins. They listen to the song from beginning to end. He goes, play it for me. So he picks up a guitar, a song he's never heard before, and plays it from beginning to end. Just hearing it once, plays it from beginning to end, not the words, just the music. And he goes, wow, that is impressive. He goes, no, that's not the impressive part. Goes and turns it on Beethoven. So he's got a Beethoven on there, listens to, dun, 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 which from what I understand, Beethoven is one of the hardest musical things to play. By the way, Beethoven was ADD and deaf. So he plays Beethoven. So he goes, okay, will you play that for the old man? So he goes over to his piano and plays Beethoven, a song he's never heard before from beginning to end. And the guy is like, really for it. He goes, you're right. That is amazing. He goes, not yet. Okay, son, now go do that thing. So he goes over to the piano and plays Paul Revere and the Raiders on the piano. And then he goes over to the guitar and plays Beethoven on the guitar. Now, only 2 people I know of can actually do that. Or not that, but Jimi Hendrix used to play lead and rhythm on one guitar. He was quite an amazing guitarist. By the way, guess who was ADD? Jimi Hendrix. He's left-handed, played a right-handed guitar upside down, figure it out, okay? Now, what happened was he was able to do 2 types of music on one guitar, and the guy's like, I never even heard of that. Either have I, by the way. 11 years old, he played Beethoven on the guitar. Dun, 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 dun. That's impressive. He goes, isn't my son awesome? I love him so much. I am so proud of him. He just walks on water. I can't wait to take him on his success journey. Now, picture what this kid's life is like. He comes home, dad says, how was drama? How was art? How was only the things he's good at? When the report card comes home, he says, hey, great, you got an A in this, an A in this, an A in this. Never brings up anything else, hands it back and signs it. Every time people come over, his dad's just bragging on him about the things he's good at and things he's interested in. I want to ask you one question. What would it have been like in your home to come home and have your mom and dad treat you like that? Would your confidence go up? Look at the kids like, let's start today. Would your self-esteem go up? Would your positive mental attitude go up along with your success traits? Now, here's what I want you to know. That kid didn't bring home 3 A's and 2 D's. He brought home 5 A's. Here's why. It would be physically impossible for him not to. Unless everybody who wrote success books is full of it, or it really is true, those are concrete building blocks towards success, and people who are successful do everything better. We mow the lawn better. We'll actually get the corners and sweep it up afterwards because we go the extra mile because we're successful. We will actually we dry the dishes better. We'll actually grab the glass, turn it upside down, grab the towel, dry it all the way to the bottom so we put it on the shelf, it doesn't leak water like your husbands do. Now, we do everything better, including reading, writing, and arithmetic. What's missing in school? Success 101. Concrete building blocks towards success. Focus on the A's, manage the D's. If the D's don't go up, they weren't going to anyway. So why beat them up and send them to after college with no self-esteem if they're not going to go up anyway? Why not send them out with either confidence and A's or confidence and D's? But send them out with his concrete building blocks towards success. This is not a theory. I've been doing it for 2 years down in Houston, Texas, and it works. Obviously, you can see why wouldn't it work? So your focus is on the A's. That'll get you from 27th place down to at least 10th. Now here's how we go the rest of the ways. Let's stop focusing on things that don't matter. Like, I do not believe in behavior modification. For one, there's no reason to. We don't need modifying, we're not broken. There's nothing wrong with this. First of all, let's address that thing. Is there such a thing as ADD? No. Now, how do I know that? I know you're immediately going to go to the medical world. We're going to use ADD logic. ADD logic works like this. Attention deficit. What's a deficit? Well, you pull out Webster's dictionary. This is where I get the stuff from. It says less than a standard or less than it's supposed to be. In other words, you're supposed to be here. So let's say you have an attention scale, 1 to 10. And normal is a 5. Okay? So that's a standard, or supposed to be, or an accepted, or an average attention span. So attention span, its ADD would be like a 2. So that would be a deficit. Okay. Now before we discover or discuss if there is an ADD, let's start with if there's such a thing as a 5. What is a normal? What is an average? What is a standard? Or what is a supposed to be attention span, and how did you measure it? You don't have a measurement for that. You don't have a starting point. So it can't have a deficit unless you have a starting point. This is basic math. You remember basic math. First time you went out and opened up a checking account, remember? You're at 0. That would be the starting point. That's supposed to be the standard, the accepted starting point. There's where you start. Then you put $100 into it, remember? So you have 100 in the positive. Remember this? This is math. And then you went out and wrote a check for 150, remember? Remember? So then you have a $50 deficit, remember? Okay, now, you cannot have an attention deficit unless you have an attention normal, an attention standard, an attention supposed to be. There is no one. Just for fun, let's go with it. Let's say there is a normal attention span. 1 to 10, a 5. A 2 is attention deficit, which means Steve is probably 0. Now, here's what happens. If there is a normal and there is attention deficit, there must be an 8. What would you call that? Attention surplus? You know, every time I'm talking to you, you're paying attention. I walk over here to do something else, when I look over my shoulder, you're still paying attention. I can actually leave the room and sneak in and you're still paying attention. All you do is pay attention. You haven't had an original thought since you were born. Now, this is what I'm getting at. You're saying this is normal, and there is no one. There's no such thing as attention surplus, by the way, okay? And there's no such thing as attention deficit, by the way. There's just a short attention span and a long attention span. They're not right or wrong, good or bad. It's just so. I'll give you an example. There's tall people and short people. Which one's normal, which one needs fixing? Them short people, because we're perfect, right? Exactly. Those height-impaired people need a fixing. No, they're just tall or short. There's right-handed people and left-handed people. Which one's normal, which one needs fixing? By the way, who's right-handed in this room? Just out of curiosity. Most. See, we outnumber the other ones. How many people are left-handed, by the way? Well, you must be needing fixing because you're in the majority. You're in the minority. Now, remember when you used to teach that? Remember in the 1950s, you wrote with your right hand, not your wrong hand? By the way, do you know most left-handed people are more creative than right-handed people? Just so you know. Now, there's nothing wrong with being right-handed or left-handed. Likewise, some people have a short attention span, others have a long attention span. Which one's right, which one's wrong? Neither. There's blondes and brunettes. Which one's normal, which one needs fix? Nah, let's not get into that. Now there's... Okay, I've alienated blondes, Arkansas, and Toyotas. Okay. I'm not going to have a market for this video by the time I'm done with this thing. Now, here's what I want you to take a look at. Just so. With a short attention span, I have a lot of creativity, a lot of imagination, and energy to burn, right? With a long attention span, not as much creativity, not as much energy, and not as much all that creative stuff that makes us ADD are in a long attention span person because they're the ones that's going to sit in an assembly line, in a toll booth, in a cubicle, at a job that might be repetitious. God's only going to give you one of two chips, a computer chip for memory or a computer chip for creativity. By the way, if you're standing in line and you could only pick a creativity chip or only pick a memory chip, how many of you would pick the creative chip? But how many of you were stuck with the other one? So we have the one you'd pick. Got that? Now, I call it behavior direction, the direction you're already going in. Here's what I mean by behavior direction. I was sent to the principal's office twice a week like clockwork for talking in class. Guess what I do for a living? Talk. I got sent to the principal's office for what I do for a living. Hey, there is a God. Now, that's called behavior direction, the direction I was going in anyway. Robin Williams and Jim Carrey at the age of 12, how'd you like to be their teacher? Would that have been a slice of pie? Robin, are you trying to be funny? Yes. Then they got sent to the principal's office for being class clowns and comedians. What do they make $25 million a picture doing? Class clowns and comedians. Behavior direction. Take a look at somebody like Walt Disney, who in his own autobiography said he got sent to the principal's office for daydreaming and doodling. What do you think old Walty was doodling at the age of 12? Mouse ears? The most recognizable corporate symbol in the world is mouse ears. The most recognizable corporate symbol in the world is the guy who got sent to the principal's office for dreaming it up. And daydreaming, he daydreamed Disneyland. Do you know that's the most positive influence on the world today by a normal human being was Disneyland? Name one other person who couldn't walk on water who had a more positive influence on the world today than Disney, who, by the way, was ADD, and that's the trait that gave it. You've seen the commercials on TV. Somebody way over in Taiwan or in some godforsaken third world country says, I'm going to America. Where do you want to go? Disneyland, right? To the guy who was ADD, who invented Disneyland, that's why I got sent to the principal's office. Behavior direction. What do you think Mike Tyson got sent to the principal's office for doing? Fighting and biting, exactly. Behavior direction, where they go. You see a guy who's always getting in fights in a bar, he's always beating people up, you go, this guy belongs in jail. No, this guy belongs in the Marines. That's what they do for a living. Behavior direction. You want to fight? Go fight, waving the flag. We'll love you for it. So what I want you to take a look at is where are these guys' behavior direction going to be early in life, and where's the application, and recognize it then. Let me give you an example of that. When somebody is growing up, they might have some traits in school that drive you crazy. It's like, he won't listen. Well, maybe he's going to lead, and they're going to be listening to him. You know, he won't do it exactly the way I say. Well, maybe he'll be creative and invent other ways to do it. Maybe there's an application for exactly the way he is later on in life. What I want you to do is I want you to take a look in an example of what it's like to be ADD versus a left brain person, and it's okay to be both. So you got to get this. It's okay to be either one. One's going to outnumber the other, and it's okay. There's more left brain jobs, so there better be more left brain people who have the ability to remember things, who are organized. Now here's some ADD people who are famous in the world. Did you know that if you're a sports fan that Babe Ruth and in his own autobiography, Pete Rose says he's ADD. Michael Jordan is ADD. So hey, doesn't sound like ADD is such a bad thing. World leaders, did you know that Winston Churchill, who stuttered, and he was known for being a great speech giver, was ADD, and John Kennedy was ADD, ran the world. If you like famous actors and actresses, Marilyn Monroe was ADD. John Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe were both ADD. Suppose that was the connection? The people who were inventors, Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, Jimi Hendrix, and Elvis were all ADD. Didn't sound like bad. Christopher Columbus was ADD. Now you're thinking, well, how would you know that? ADD logic. Picture this. This is the Earth. Okay, you with me here? Now on the Earth, Christopher Columbus set sail. Okay, where was he headed? East Indies. That would be on this side of the planet. Where did he land? Western America. That's on this side of the planet. He missed it by half a planet. Only an ADD guy can get that lost. Proof that he was ADD. There's nothing wrong with being ADD. It's where you're going to be ending up anyway. It's where you're going to be ending up anyway. So why don't we go ahead and focus on where they're going to be as opposed to where they are. See, in school, you're just focusing on what he's like in school. We're not supposed to be making them be in school. You're supposed to be making them to be in the real world later on. What's wrong with being ADD? Not a thing. It's a great gift. I want ADD kids to really look at themselves as an attribute. So now we're going to prove it. What I want is I want all the kids in the room to come up right here. All the kids. All the kids. We're going to prove, no ifs, ands, or buts, that ADD is a great thing. By the way, high five. Cool beans, how are you? Now, what I want is I want the front row of teachers right there. I'm going to tell you another story. And what I want you to do is I want you to point which direction you think the answer is. Now, this represents all left brain people. Analytical, good memories, organized, place for everything, everything's placed. They make the world run. They keep us safe from chaos. Over here is the creative world, the ADD world, the musicians, the artists, the think outside the box world. This is what these are ours. And here's the situation. We're going to magically make all these kids 15. We're going to make all these kids 15. Now, we're all going to go on a safari. And I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to point to which group you would bet on winning my scenario. You ready? You're gonna. So if you think it's this way, point to the kids. If you think it's this way, point to the other kids. Okay? So right brain, creative, ADD people. Left brain, organized, intelligent, good memory people. So here's the scenario. They're both going to go on safari. They're going to go to Africa. So they get on an airplane, both of them, and they fly to Africa. They're a couple hundred miles apart. As they're flying over to Africa, they run out of gas. Why? Because the ADD people forgot to gas up. So here's what happens. As they're flying over, they are running out of gas and they need to lighten the load. The heaviest thing in the plane, the people. So what they're going to do is they put on parachutes and they all throw them out the airplane. And they parachute into Africa. Now, these kids parachute into this part of the jungle. There's lions, there's snakes, there's alligators, there's tigers, there's headhunters. You scared yet? All these horrible things are here. Now, remember when you get on an airplane nowadays, you can't even bring a hair comb. You have no tools whatsoever and no adult supervision. They just land into Africa. Over here, these kids, same thing. They parachute hundreds of miles into the deepest, darkest jungles of Africa. They have snakes, they have alligators, they have lions, they have tigers, they have headhunters, and they have no calculators. They're literally all by themselves. Now, they both land in the deepest, darkest jungles of Africa. They both need to make it hundreds of miles through the jungle to get to civilization, to safety. I want you to point. Which group would you bet on getting out first? Ah, yes, yes. These are the ones who would definitely get out first. Yes, yes. Then you go back and send out search parties and send them some candles and some calculators. Now, why would this group probably get out safely, fast, first? I want you to give me some concrete reasons. Tell me why you think the creative kids would probably get out of the jungle first.
They probably see it as an adventure.
Adventure. Now I want you to remember that word, adventure. I'm going to come back and point to you again. Why do you think anybody, who would think they would get out for a reason?
These guys will overthink and those guys will just work as a group.
Work as a group, okay. What else?
Well, they won't place limits on their possibilities.
No limitations, okay. Who else?
I think they'll adapt quickly.
Adapt quickly, obviously, yes.
Better able to think on their feet, don't need so much of a plan, they can just go and do it.
Think on their feet, okay, fast, creative. What else? How about fearless? We get in trouble. You know why some kids don't get in trouble? They're chicken, okay? Am I right? Your left brain, they all chickened out. Now, I want you to go ahead and we're going to roll the clock ahead 20 years. So these guys are now 35 when they hit 20 years. These guys are now 29 because they know how to add. And I'm looking for a new group of people to run my company. I just became the new CEO of a large corporation. And I'm looking for 3 vice presidents. One vice president in charge of PR, advertising, and sales. And I'm looking for people who can run those divisions and make it happen. So I asked my headhunter, my executive recruiter, said, I need some really, really fired up people. He goes, okay. And I needed 3 positions filled. I said, okay. So he goes out and he comes back and he says, Steve, I got 3 hot dogs. I mean, hot dogs. Really, tell me about them. He goes, well, they're able to think outside the box. They're very adventurous. They're very fearless. They're very creative. They're very take action. They do teamwork. They'll take immediate things and think and get it done. They will take action. They will not sit there and go, wow, sounds like I'll just take over the world, man. I'm ready. I want to hire those guys. I want to hire them right now. Okay, quick, do a background check on them. Go check out what they were like in school. Are these the things we got? Can't focus, can't sit still, can't pay attention, has a problem with authority. Are you sure these are the same guys? Yes. Now, what you were saying was that while they were in school, the same attributes that would get them out of a jungle, the same attributes I would be looking for in a vice president in charge of sales, in charge of advertising, in charge of sales, those attributes that I would pay big bucks for are the ones that between the ages of 6 and 18 or 22 are the ones that you are chastising them for. I got an idea. Recognize future leaders, future entrepreneurs, future think outside the box, future artists, future consultants for creativity behind the scenes in a movie, future stuntmen, future people who are going to be writing music and who are going to be artists and sculptors. Recognize those kids because this is what they look like. This is what Einstein looked like at that age. Okay? This is what Madonna looked like at that age. Okay? Is that Babe Ruth or is it just me? Okay? Now look at that. This is what they look like. So I would like you to know that these are the future leaders. These are the future entrepreneurs. These are the people who will give you joy. These are the people who will give you happiness. These are the people who aren't you girls all looking for a sensitive man? That's what he looks like. Okay? Okay? Let's give our future leaders a hand. All righty. Okay. But we still love you too. All right, everybody back to the seats. Everybody back to the seats. So how does it feel not to get picked? Now, I did that as an example because I really wanted you to see that, wow, that is true. For 12 years in school, they did everything they could to educate me, and they took away all my self-esteem. I had 5 teachers per year, 12 years in a row. That's 60 teachers, and not one of them recognized one success trait in me ever once. Now, I've read that book, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Wonderful book. It always has some tear-jerking stories about how teachers have changed a child's life. How many of you ever read Chicken Soup for the Soul? Go back and read it again. Look how a teacher changed a child's life, not once through education. Every single one of those was that teacher somehow supporting that child's concrete building blocks for success. They either said, I believe in you, or go your own way, or try your dream, or whatever. It was all concrete building blocks towards success. Every teacher in there, either consciously or subconsciously, was working the same programs that Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, all those other people were doing. They were all looking at it like that. They were looking at it as an attribute. So, because there's no such thing as attention normal, there's no attention deficit. But why are you calling us learning disabled? We are not learning disabled. We have a learning style. We're visual, hands-on learners. We do great in shop. We do bad in English because we have to read it. We have a learning style of touching and seeing. We have a learning style. We don't have a learning disability. So I want you to take a look at labels that you give us. How would you look at me and say, Steve, you have a learning disability, you have attention deficit, you're a problem child, but buck up, little camper, we still love you. Not this sensitive kid. No. Now, we all get into cliques in high school. I had a school where there was like 2,000 kids. And we had the socias, and we had the hippies. I'm actually old enough to be a hippie. We had the geeks. We had those, the ones who are now running the world. We had they were just little groups, okay? Okay, well, we have a group too, and we just need to belong to it in a positive light. Have you noticed that all labels seem to be almost negative, just by definition? You're height impaired, okay? You're learning disabled, you have attention deficit. Why such negative? You know, I called you multiple thought impaired. Well, what's my definition of multiple thought impaired? Normal. Wouldn't you rather be called normal or average than multiple thought impaired? I do that because I want you to know what it's like to be normal bashing, because I want you to know what it likes to feel us to cause attention deficit and learning disabled when we are not. Most ADD kids who are flunking out of school, kids, just so you know, the average IQ is between 100 and 120. The average kid who is flunking out of school who's ADD, his average IQ is between 120 and 190. He's the smartest kid in class. So the teachers, if you're so smart, why can't you learn? If I'm so smart, why can't you teach me? We can teach ADD kids ADD style and they pick it up like that. These are just some of the examples I'm giving to you. Let's start with the label. We're very, very intelligent. We're very, very fast, so why not call us quick, smart kids? That's what my kids are called at the Results Academy. Quick, smart kids. In Houston, Texas, those kids walk in the door, and over the doorway it says, home of the quick, smart kid, as in, it's okay. On the left side of the door, it says, multiple thought impaired kids not allowed. It's our clubhouse. On the right, it says, too slow, gotta go.